tonight on the Chillstream. We are streaming from home base. No more, well, not no more, at least tonight. No more moving streams, no more streams in transit. We have the oldest bank in the United States just got a special favor from the SEC, and there's always other stuff to cover. And I'll see you guys again in 2 minutes. And we are back. We already have our first comment. Eagle Pax Max, a semi-regular viewer, maybe a regular viewer, a semi-regular contributor says, first comment right out of the box. Hello, James. I am amazed by everything that has happened in the last 2 weeks. I'm not sure what to think anymore. I'm not sure. I don't know what's happened in the last couple of weeks that you're talking about. Talking about like P. Diddy, Sean Combs getting caught with 1,000 bottles of baby oil, and I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what it is that's worrying you. But listen to me. It's all mostly going to plan, and there are plans by evil rat bastards. But we will defeat them. They will be defeated. Last time I streamed last week. I mentioned that I am so out of it. This is the difference, Eagle Pax Max, between you and I. I'm so fucking out of the mainstream as to what's going on TV. I don't know. If it's not on my phone, if it doesn't come in my Instagram feed or some other like YouTube feed, I mostly don't know that it happened. So I don't get quite as wound up about shit as other people. I don't know. I noticed that normies that I talk to are way more excited about the election and passionate about the election than I ever saw them about anything else. It's amazing to see how animated these people get, and I can't help but think like I can't help but think that America is similar to the Roman Empire. I've said that probably dozens of times. But like certain emperors were more popular than others, and certainly Trump seems like one of those emperors that everybody goes crazy over. And he is, obviously the de facto, or he's likely to be the de facto emperor of the American Empire very soon. And people that had I've never heard political word one out of their mouth. I tell them, listen, red team, blue team, it's it's the same thing. It's two different wings. Same bird. And people are like, no, you understand. Kamala Harris can't do. She's so stupid and this and that. And I'm like, I said, listen, everything is scripted for them, except for Trump he does some riffs, he does some improv, and people eat it up, or he does, or at least he delivers his lines well. I don't know that he really improvs that much. But this guy's like, no, 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 you don't understand. Kamala Harris bad. And I'm like, listen, they don't make the decisions. Whatever you see on TV, before they come out on TV, somebody takes them in a room and says, here's what you're going to say. Here's what you're going to say. This is what you're going to talk about. This is, and this is how you're going to answer this question and that question. And then, sell it, and that's what they're trying to do. When you have, Kamala Harris goes to I think I saw something. She went to the border, and then everyone's looking at her history with gun control. Does she own guns? Does her husband own guns? Blah 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 blah. And they're desperately trying to nail down their base to come out and vote for them. But it's all bullshit anyway. It doesn't matter. I mentioned that I was listening to the podcast, Long Shadow Rise of the Extreme Right. I thought it was like a one-off podcast thing from NPR. There were 3 seasons of this fucking thing. There were 3 seasons of this. I had no fucking idea. But in that podcast, they said that Donald Trump had launched his 2024 campaign from Waco, Texas, and I was like, oh no way, that's fucking true. But then afterwards, I Googled it, and sure enough, he went to Waco, Texas. And he calls this 2024 race the final battle. And I'm thinking, man, the Constitution burners have to be very, very excited about Trump winning. I mean, I don't know what we're going to get. Are we going to, I'm trying to imagine, like, okay, they hate the Second Amendment. They hate the Constitution in general, but they particularly hate the Second Amendment. And they've been getting their asses kicked on this pretty steadily the last 2-3 years, not just at the federal level, but they're starting to lose a lot at the state level, and they got to get the momentum back. The state wants a monopoly on violence, and they may be using Trump's cult of personality to get it. For all the Trump lovers, the red state people who love their guns, Trump, they may try to spin a narrative where, like, look, they're trying to kill Trump. We have to have gun control or else we'll lose our precious Trump, and probably 35% of his perceived base would go for that. They'd be like, yes, fuck it, shred the Constitution as long as Donald Trump can say China on TV and we can all giggle and fall over and laugh like retarded children, yeah, you can burn the Constitution. I think that's what they're likely to go with, like use the cult of personality, use populism to overcome the Constitution, because using that sort of that behind the scenes oligarchy thing, hasn't achieved all the results for them that they wanted. And so they may be trying a slightly different tactic, but will it work? I don't think it'll work, as long as, to be perfectly honest, as long as Clarence Thomas is still alive and healthy, we should be good, because I think he's holding things down at the Supreme Court, at least for the moment. And I don't think there's anyone with quite the same commitment to that rule set that he has. You know what I mean? When you think about, like, the Bruin decision, to stay on the Second Amendment theme for a moment, the decision NYSERPA, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, was a ruling 102 or 104 years in the making. At some point, more than 100 years ago, someone in upstate New York wanted a pistol permit, and he was denied a pistol permit by a judge because the judge said, well, you don't have any special reason to request a pistol permit, so you can't have it. And so it denied him his civil rights. And this was kept suppressed and held back in the courts, and every dirty trick that the bureaucratic state could come up with, they kept this out of sight of people, and they enforced an unconstitutional law for 104 years. And to be honest, New York State still isn't doing shit about this. And the point, the importance of that is that you have something that is in direct opposition to the basic rule set of America, which is supposed to be the Constitution. And having 9 jerks interpret it or reinterpret it just doesn't make sense. Because human frailty, the ability for humans to bow to pressure or to be corrupt, guarantees it's going to fuck up. It guarantees it's not going to work. Whereas to make the leap to a Bitcoin standard, the Bitcoin software, everything has to work 100% and everyone has to agree 100% all the time. The difference is enormous because you can't have a rule in a set of rules that doesn't match perfectly. So the fact that the Bruin decision should have been squashed in 104 hours, but it took 104 years, shows the flaws of constitutions. That the founding fathers never properly understood that the greatest threat to a republic, a constitutional republic, is from within. I don't think, I would be curious historically to see what the external threats to constitutions or commonwealths were, how strong they were. Because usually, if it's run properly, if it's run according to the rule set, the Constitution, you become very, very hard to beat. But internally, different groups or individuals seek advantage, and they start fucking with that rule set, nullifying this rule, overusing that rule, doing various different things to fuck with the rule set to game the system in their favor or the favor of those whom are, I don't know, paying them under the table. So that's the problem with constitutions as they're written. They're less than perfect, and the idea that you need 9 super smarties with extra special legal degrees, to interpret something as obvious as that Nysurpa versus Bruin is ridiculous. And the abortion thing was another ridiculous thing. There's literally nothing in the Constitution and nothing in the Bill of Rights about human reproduction, about men and women, about sex or babies or genitalia. There's literally nothing in there. There's nothing in there about health, nothing in there about doctors, nothing. And yet in the 70s, they had, I don't remember what Roe v. Wade was, but there were a sufficient number of these super smart, educated, wearing the black robe dorks to see something in the set of rules that is literally not there. So, and this is the problem, right? This is where all of these really big issues come up. You have people that see rules that aren't there and fail to see rules that are most obviously there. And they have the power to impose their will on, that small elite has the power to impose its will on a much larger group, and then you have people getting as unhappy as they can be, and then there's consequences. So far, thank God, most of the consequences within the domestic United States have been nonviolent. There hasn't been a civil war. The boomers are not going to hop in their Corvettes and tie down their fucking hair pieces and take their ARs down to the State House. And, there's not going to be a civil war between, it's just not going to happen. The tattooed patriots and the fucking blue-haired fucking nose-ringed transgenders. That's not, they want you to believe that's going to happen, but that is not going to happen. But all the problems, the real problems, stem from a set of rules that has been ignored and has been buried under all sorts of bureaucratic bullshit forever and ever and ever. I've recently started watching on YouTube a lot of these. I didn't even know this fucking existed, but there are dudes that do like First Amendment audits, and I think I want to do this. I think I want to do this. People, they'll take a camera and they'll start filming the police, and when then the police tell them they can't film them, they're like, yes, I can. I'm in public. I'm a public sidewalk. You're a public servant. I can film you. I can film inside your car, whatever, as long as I'm not physically interfering with your job. And they end up getting arrested, and then they sue in court for violation of the civil rights. And there's dozens and dozens of these people. This is people make a fucking living off this, I think. because they get arrested multiple times by the same department for doing constitutionally protected activities, First Amendment protected activities. They go into a state building or public building, and they film the civil servants there. And the civil servants go nuts, and they call the police, and they get these guys arrested. And this they're doing more to fight tyranny than all the consultants in Washington D.C. Eagle Pax Max, I've heard of it. It's sometimes called police audits in other countries like the UK. Yeah, they call themselves auditors, First Amendment auditor, or auditors or watchers. And I kind of fell down into the rabbit hole. I'm like, at first I thought they were like just being jerks just to be jerks, and some of them are real assholes. But there's a small group that genuinely knows what they're doing, and they are putting themselves at some, not a great risk, but they're certainly inconveniencing themselves. And I don't know how they have the time to get arrested and then go to court 2-3 days later and then get out. I mean, it's a nonviolent arrest. They're not being sent to Rikers Island. You know what I mean? They're going to some like local jail where there's not a whole lot of dangerous people. But yeah, they audit the police for and other public servants for First Amendment compliance, and that is a huge deal. Those people do more to restrain the tyrants, the everyday tyranny of the police than anyone else, than all of these fucking professors, than all of these stupid protests, most of which are fucking set up jobs. They're mostly they're staged between groups that have an agenda and the people behind those groups that drive those groups. So I got real interested. I watch a bunch of these guys, and it's super interesting to me to see that. Although some of the videos, they do the full form, like long form video, and it's a bit tedious. Not a whole lot happens, but it's interesting to see where the change is coming from and who's driving it. That to me is fascinating. You have some guys that are very articulate when the police tell them, you can't film here, and you have to do this, and you have to shut up your camera, and you have to do this. And they say, but officer, it's a First Amendment protected opportunity. Shouldn't we all be educated about the Bill of Rights and the First Amendment? Didn't you swear an oath to protect and defend the Constitution? And then you see these fucking psycho fucking cops, just like veins bursting in their head, trying to figure out how they want to push back against this guy and these different guys, and they can't. So I get a kick out of it. I get a kick out of that quite a bit. But listen, who's that guy? This guy, Cubs to Bears, bro. Like I show his stuff a bunch of times on this channel, and I commented on one of his videos where you could see, I don't know how we could see the thumbnail in the corner, but it's one of the Rothschilds. And so there was a Fed post, and I wrote that it was an AI generated Fed post, and Cubs to Bears dude himself, he liked my comment, because he understands, listen, this guy's got to stay in his lane, and he needs to get as much across to people as he can possibly get across to people. With at the point of naming them is that's shit Richard Spencer told you to do in 2016, and we all know Richard Spencer's a Fed, right? And it's pointless anyway, because it changes nothing. Those guys who take a camera like this fucking phone right here and go out to the local police department and just film like a fucking traffic stop are doing more to secure the fucking republic than all your fucking name the Jew bullshit. Because they're willing to get arrested and go through the system and then try and raise money. For lawyers, eventually they get paid by the state, but they have to be inconvenienced quite a bit, and they go out there again and again and again. They're doing more by not naming anyone and not even knowing who they're naming. They're just saying, here's the set of rules, here's the Constitution, and your behavior as a public servant is supposed to comply with the Constitution, and it does not. And it works out works out well for them in the long run, but they're actually doing something that makes a difference. And they have big fucking audiences. Some of these guys have like $250,000 subscribers, 100,000 subscribers, channels that are really big and have people, normies, thinking about, hey, what is the state allowed to do and what's it not allowed to do? And how can we push back against it peacefully and legally and have good effect? So because most of the pushback you get, where's that fat guy? Who's that fat comedian? The one I showed, can't remember his name, Tom something or other. The one that said Taylor Swift was in a Nobu restaurant in California, and she said, "I love Hitler," and everyone in the restaurant said, "We do too." Well, these guys are trying to make things funny that are not funny, and they get dragged. I think that's what they call it, get dragged. They say one thing and they think they're going to lead their audience in a certain direction, and the audience goes, "Oh, hell fucking no." So here's that fat comedian going off the fucking rails.
Israeli official says Iran war is inevitable and U.S. should attack now. That's what I love about Israel. I liked it as a friend. They're always getting us into something. I like it. I mean, Israel is the friend sometimes on the block you go out with, and they're like, let's just throw some M80s. Let's have a little fun, because they kind of have a bad home life. That's what Israel. It's the friend with like a bad home life, and they're just like, my mom and.
So here he is, right? He's trying to make light of a genocide and make out that Israel. It's not even Israel's fault, because they had a bad home life or some shit like that, right? Trying to use some bullshit psychology. And here's the comments underneath that fucking reel. Never forget the USS Liberty. There were 4 replies to that. And Israel is ready to fight to the last American soldier. That's true. And also the last dollar in the American treasury. And then there's someone else called Swifty Lifty, who might actually be a Taylor Swift fan, that says they are not our friends. And you can see there are hundreds and even thousands of likes to these comments. And these guys look in the comment sections after they're done putting the shit up. And when they see that literally thousands of members of their audience are like, nah, dude, you got it wrong. They're at a spot where they're going to lick their entertainment, lick the boots of the fucking entertainment elite to try and become rich and famous. Or are they going to try and make the audience laugh? And now they're finding themselves, a bunch of them, in a bad way, because they don't know what the fuck to do. They don't know what to do at all. And that's probably good for us, because sooner or later they're going to start, some of these people, when they're not getting work and as the economy collapses and people can't fucking afford anything, no one's going to comedy shows anyway. These guys are going to go, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to say what I want to say. And then they'll be funny again. It won't change anything, but then they'll be funny. What do I want to talk about? What's all the regular stuff? All my regular standard things. Here's in the back in the fucking nuclear category, just to show that, listen, fucking nuclear power is here to fucking stay. And we're going to desperately try to catch up with fucking China. The world's biggest banks pledge support for nuclear power. There's going to be no protest. There's going to be no nothing. Whatever protest you think is going to fucking happen ain't going to change fucking shit. Literally not going to change any fucking thing. Because listen, we're not going to let the Chinamen win. We're just not going to let the Chinese win. And we got Virgil Doc Purple Heart. Welcome to the show. Good evening, sir. We are stationary. We are no longer mobile. So we are easier to hit. If they decide to drone strike me, I don't think they will. But if they decide to drone strike me, it's a lot easier to hit me here as a stationary target. But they're not going to drone strike. They're just not going to do it. They're going to try, but they can't. This is the state of the U.S. Navy. This is the state of the U.S. Navy. Hey, how come you can't beat those Houthi rebels? You know that Ansar Allah Yemeni lunatics that are running around trying to fight for Gaza? How come we can't beat them? Well, the U.S. Navy lost a submarine because someone forgot to close a hatch. You know, they're saying uncovered manhole. I don't know what the fuck it's a submarine. It's not a public roadway. But yeah, so that's not good. You know what I mean? This is this is not good. And some nuclear attack submarines are supposed to have like the most carefully screened crew members of like any service. Like they have to be super, super well screened. And apparently, they forgot whatever the little blinking red light, you know, like the check engine light in your car. I don't know if submarines have a check engine light or if they have a check to make sure all the hatches are closed light. And maybe who knows, maybe the captain was some sort of fucking diversity hire. Who the fuck knows? But yeah, we lost a very expensive boat because somebody forgot to close the fucking door. That's why this story, right? U.S. Navy warships fight off a complex missile and drone attack in the Red Sea. That's the Houthis saying, you know what? We really don't give a fuck. We're gonna fight you. And some people might read this and go, well, they didn't sink the battleship or they didn't damage it. And I certainly they didn't sink it. I don't know whether they damaged it or not, but for sure they're not afraid. And I don't, when they say complex missile and drone attack, I guess it kind of surprised them. I don't know, but the Yemenis will learn from this, and they will learn how to get better at it. And we will if we can fucking keep our boats afloat, um, probably not be able to fucking do much against them. And as the military arm of the empire shrivels up and falls apart, you know, that's going to drive people to really not pay attention at all to anything other than you know, other than domestic stuff like what what's oh, here's our buddy. He's not our buddy. Again, another nuclear story. This is the gay guy who came up with AI. Sam Altman backed nuclear startup gets greenlit for its first micro reactor. The nuclear reactors of the future are going to be super small. They're not going to be the ones the 60s, 70s, and 80s like we grew up with. They're going to be like on the back of an 18-wheel truck or something like that. And how do you know that's going to be? Because the gay Jew is involved in it, right? If there was like an Italian physicist who proposed putting a nuclear power plant on the back of a fucking 18-wheel truck, it would never go anywhere. But you put a homosexual Jew, make a request to the government, and pa-ching, it comes right out immediately. Whatever they want, they get. Not just in that, but in other things. Particularly, this was one. This is the biggest. This is a much bigger piece of news than I think a lot of people understand, and I will try to give you perspective on it. The Bank of New York Mellon. Bank of New York is literally the oldest bank in the United States. Requested that the Securities and Exchange Commission give them legal cover to custody Bitcoin, right? Instead of just the exchanges holding your Bitcoin. Now, the oldest bank in America wants to be able to hold your Bitcoin, not you as an individual. They're really talking about the ETFs and big insurance companies and pension funds, but the oldest bank in the United States, the Bank of New York, now has the legal authority to custody your Bitcoin. And if you think they're doing that because they're bored, because oh, this is a shiny toy that they're just playing with because they have nothing better to do, then you don't see this correctly. The amount of money that's going to come into this in the next 5 and 10 years is going to be nuts. It's going to be unthinkable, right? I think they said they convinced China to start up the money printer. I don't know what they're going to print, like fucking $250 billion or fucking, I don't know what China's just going to turn on the money printer and run until smoke comes out. So that's all good for us in the long run. And the global money printing, not just in America with the rate cut, but whatever China's doing, we are on the cusp of a fucking tidal wave, which is going to push the stock market to the fucking moon. It's going to push Bitcoin to the fucking moon. You're going to get poorer. Life is going to be fucking more difficult because everything's going to get more expensive. It still takes forever to fucking make a gallon of gas or a pound of fucking hamburger. But when they're breaking their fingers, fucking hitting the button on the money printer, that's going to have consequences too. It's absolutely going to have consequences too. And this is closer to, well, the stuff that I say, other people repeat. They might not point to the small hats behind the curtain, but great minds think alike.
Buying Bitcoin and hodling is not an investment. It's a revolutionary act against the ruling class. Of course, it is an investment still, but this is the main thing. Bitcoin takes the money away from the state and takes it away from the ruling class. That's why Bitcoin is the invention of our lifetimes. And this cannot be understated. It cannot be, I may be sounding like I'm hyperbolic that it's the invention of our lifetime. No, it's not.
He said understated. He meant overstated. Cannot be overstated. And you have to think longer term. You say, well, but if Bank of New York is getting into it, aren't the rich people going to take over Bitcoin? Well, probably not. But if they do, it won't be for very long because fiat's going to go to nothing. And rich people are helpless. Rich people can't do a fucking thing. You know what I mean? Even entire governments can't do anything. Back in 2016, they said China bans Bitcoin. And guess what? China didn't really ban Bitcoin. They just banned certain Bitcoin miners from mining Bitcoin in China. So the insider group knocked out their competition, at least in their minds. But even though there's an official ban on mining Bitcoin, China still mines 55% of the Bitcoin. America only mines like 45%. They're beating us in every way they can beat us, and that's why Trump talks. That's why they want Trump to sell America on the idea that we need to do this, and we're going to need nuclear power to make it happen, because the elites in America are afraid that the elites in China are going to have something that America doesn't have. They're going to have some type of financial edge that America doesn't have. And since China, and I'm sure China has all its own problems, but China's not flying the rainbow flag over foreign countries. You know what I mean? They just want to extract the fucking resources. They're not going to force you to eat chopsticks. They're not going to force you to fucking, to kowtow and bow down to them. China doesn't give a shit about that anymore, But America wants you to have gay pride parades in order to fucking, give you the technology so that you can have fucking clean water or some shit like that, or to give you the medicine so you don't die of fucking malaria. Although the Chinese cured malaria and they cured diabetes too. I don't know if you know that China cured diabetes. This was the most fucking interesting. They actually cured diabetes. They just took stem cells and they shot them into some guy's liver. Guy was like, stage whatever fucking diabetes. They took stem cells, just shot him into the guy's liver, and 12 weeks later, he didn't need no medications. 12 weeks later, he had no more diabetes. So diabetes, which is people getting their fucking arms chopped off and they're losing their fucking toes and their fucking legs every day in the United States. We could fucking end it like this, but what a big pharma, they would lose hundreds of billions of dollars, right? So we're not going to let that happen. And it's that type of, I know I say we, I mean the elites in America aren't going to let that happen. And these type of mistakes are going to cost America in the America versus China fucking cultural power thing. It's going to cost America a lot. And our problems are really like just beginning. This guy, I don't know that what this guy said is 100% correct, but I've said stuff like this, and this guy quotes some big consulting firm that says basically the same stuff I said.
A recent study by OpenAI and UPenn found that software and tooling built on top of LLMs like ChatGPT could automate between 47 and 56% of all worker tasks in the US. Inspired by the study, the VC firm Andreessen Horowitz pulled data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics and put together a list of roles that they think could be significantly AI automated within the next decade. Their top 5 include...
Yeah, so whatever. So, these venture capitalist firms with Jewish last names think that about 47 to 56% of all the jobs in America might be eliminated in the next 10 years. That means literally half the country would be unemployed. That's where all this UBI shit, like they're testing UBI. You know why they're testing UBI? Because no one's going to have a job in 10 years, or most of these white collar people are not going to have a job. Now, a lot of jobs they think they're going to replace, they can't replace, but whatever. They're going to be able to replace a lot of white collar people, and that's going to be fucking devastating. And then, how do you keep people from doing a lot more than a First Amendment audit? You know what I mean? Not the Fed post, but not, how do you keep people from, instead of going to the police station or the county clerk's office to just peacefully film people, civil servants doing their job, how do you keep them from showing up with like the pitchforks and the torches? Like, how do you make that not happen? So part of that is most definitely going to be UBI. You know what I mean? And the other part is going to be like fucking 5G beamed, like dopamine fucking drones, like squirting happy fucking chemicals into the back of your neck every day, so you don't go crazy and fucking tear things up. So, but I think some of that's going to happen, and part of it's going to be what this guy's talking about.
Forget boomers versus millennials. The next generational conflict is millennials against each other. Current discourse centers on the fact that the average millennial has much less wealth than the average boomer did at the same age. While that's true, it masks the fact that there is enormous wealth inequality between millennials today. And how have the richest millennials got so rich? Mainly from huge wealth transfers from their parents, often in the form of help with that first housing down payment. In the UK, for example, among those who got help with their first house, the top 10% received an average of £170,000 from their parents. The average millennial got 0. And these transfers aren't just one-off, they compound over time. More help with the deposit means a lower loan-to-value ratio, which means lower interest rates and lower monthly payments. So you can have two couples on the same incomes living in pretty much the same house, bought for the same price, but one of them is paying $2,500 a month while the other's paying $1,500 a month just because they got more help from their parents. To state the obvious, a big factor here is unaffordable housing. It now takes almost 30 years to save up for the typical down payment for a house in London, similar in places like San Francisco and New York. And the growing role of these family financial transfers in determining millennial wealth trajectories and therefore life trajectories is likely to have more and more political and social fallout in the years to come. Millennials may have had each other's back for the last decade and a half or so, but as the gap between those with and without deep-pocketed parents becomes more and more visible, that generational solidarity may well start to fracture.
Likely to have more political fallout. Likely, yeah, definitely going to happen. When you're starving and homeless and your neighbor has the American dream, that's going to cause people to do bad things, and shit's going to get ugly. So you have to expect that. You have to expect that, and it's not just in American England. I didn't even know this. This is I mislabeled this video. I don't know why I thought it was Naples. It's not Naples. It's Barcelona.
If you rob something under $600 here in Barcelona, it's not prosecutable to be arrested, just a little fine. So people will just rob things because there isn't really a punishment for it. Somebody came and tried to smash the glass, but the owner's already prepared for it. And then right here as well, these shops have shattered glass because...
So in Barcelona, Spain, They've been dealing with this. You thought it was just San Francisco. You thought it was just New York. You thought it was just crackheads. The immigrant class, the migrants into Europe are trying to do smash and grab robberies to the point where shopkeepers have to put some fucking ballistic fucking glass up to make sure they don't lose their Chinese manufactured, manufactured by a Chinaman for $62 handbag that they sell for $5,000. And look, we have someone new in the chat. Ukrainians are Proto-Mesopotamians. Good Lord, I have no idea what that even means. How did Ukrainians are Proto-Mesopotamians? And he's got a wrench. Am I voting? Do you don't really have a wrench? That's going to be a fake wrench. I didn't give you a wrench, Ukrainian Proto-Mesopotamians. The Mesopotamians, or the people in Iraq, got flattened because they threatened Israel. I showed that video of Saddam Hussein saying if the Arab world united against Israel, the Zionists would collapse in a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden, we had to go invade the guy. The Ukrainians used to be called the Scythians, and they are not Proto-Mesopotamians. But I don't know. Maybe you're down with that. The fuck was that thing they were doing for a while? The Yamnaya, these imaginary people that lived outside of Europe, like in whatever, like in Ukraine or southern Russia, and they had horses and chariots, and they were super tall and handsome and blonde haired and fucking Superman, and they came out of the Yamnaya lands, and they civilized everyone. They killed all the men and raped all the women, and then built cities. And everyone, you have a Yamnaya DNA, and you have Yamnaya. Everyone in the last 40,000 years has Yamnaya DNA, and you all owe your whatever you have to some white supremacy people. We think we have no evidence ever existed, and this was being pushed for a while, like it was a total Fed push thing, because the Feds used to push it through Norman and all the other people. So it's this whacked out fucking prehistory narrative. And I noticed that the Yamnaya, who created Babylon and Egypt and Greece and Rome and fucking whatever, Persia, they created civilization everywhere except where they were from. You know what I mean? They built cities and aqueducts and fortifications everywhere except in their homeland. So I think that's where my man Ukrainians are Proto-Mesopotamians is coming from. I think he's coming from fucking NSA headquarters in Manhattan. That's probably that. So you get your AI to come up with a better screen name. That's a terrible screen name. It's way long. It's absolutely way long. It's an outrage. Not as outrageous as this. I got a 14. Here's the Cubs to Bears, bro. 14-second video he made, and I'm just gonna play it, and I want you to guess. I'll give you a few seconds at the end after it. Guess what is the most outrageous thing from my point of view that he said in this video.
So let me get this right. First, Dick Cheney, the architect of the Iraq War, endorsed Kamala Harris, and then the IRS Agents Union endorsed Kamala Harris. Who's next? Satan?
Satan? Is it Satan? So what? So in that 14 seconds, I realize it's a short clip. In that 14 seconds, what's the most outrageous thing he said? And I don't care about the red team, blue team thing. Let's set that aside for the moment. That's too obvious. That's too much of a soft. What is the most outrageous thing he said? Can anyone guess? Bueller? The most outrageous thing he said was the IRS Agents Union. Amazon is not allowed to have a union. Nobody's allowed to have a union except the fucking IRS has a fucking union. Like, how is the IRS unionized? It's unions for me, but not for thee. I think that's the most fucking that is like the outrage of outrage. That's worse than the abortion thing or the fucking you can't have a gun permit because you don't have a special need. That's how fucking crazy shit is that the IRS is a union. So what the hell am I looking at here? I got like two more videos that I don't know. I put fucking notes on them. But what could I possibly fucking, oh, fuck it. Let's stay in New York. Let's stay in New York with the Ukrainian guy from the NSA building with no windows.
Lyft, City Bike's parent company, noticed a constant imbalance of full and empty docking stations across the city. And to balance them out, they rolled out the Bike Angels program in 2016, where users move bikes from an overloaded docking station to an empty one for points. Actor Mark Epperson is active in the program, racking up points with a group of 10 to 15 people on any day. Using the algorithm, they'd clear one station, racking up another, in turn racking up points. And those points are turned into credits, or they're transferred directly to a user's PayPal account, where Epperson's managed to make between $1,000 and $2,000 monthly for the last few months. David Smoys, a data science professor at Cornell University, helped City Bike build the algorithm they use now. He says though station flipping, he called it, isn't illegal or necessarily wrong, it's also not what the company intended to happen.
It understood they could manipulate the market and cash in the points by sort of manipulating the market and creating shortage when there was none.
What? You're not allowed to do what we do. By the way, that guy's a professor at Cornell. I was up at Cornell one time. It's fucking way upstate New York. I can't remember what the fucking town was that I had to go to. Horseheads or something like that, maybe? I can't remember. So they had this dork from a place so far from New York, you would think it was in another fucking country, come up with shocked that New Yorkers figured out a way to game the system. If there's a system, people will figure out how to game it, okay? And the people at the top really are not happy with the people that are not at the top have figured out how to game the system. So Ukrainians, Proto-Mesopotamians, you have good knowledge, yes. Ukraine had cities on the same scale and time frame as the ones called the first cities in Uruk, that's in Babylon, Iraq. Okay, no, they didn't, because there's no fucking evidence of them. They had a couple of holes in the ground where they buried people with their horses. That's what they had. They had horses, not much else. And the Greeks went up there in fucking 600 BC and ran things for a while and then lost control. And once they lost control, everything went right downhill. But to your original question, Ukrainians are Proto-Mesopotamians. Are you voting? Yes, I am voting. Every time I turn shitty fucking Jewish slavery coupons into Bitcoin, that's when I vote. I vote with your dollars. You know what I mean? I take your dollars and say, I vote against this. I sell the dollar and I purchase Bitcoin with it, because people are still dumb enough to take fucking US dollars or Federal Reserve notes for Bitcoin. So I do that all the fucking time. So that's how I vote. I vote daily. I vote multiple times a day. Because I have a credit card where I spend US dollars but get rewarded in Bitcoin. That's how I vote nonstop every fucking day that I go to work, in every transaction I make. So that's how I vote. I vote against the system that was designed to keep me a slave forever. And you know what? It's worked out pretty fucking well. It's worked out pretty well. And since you're still here at 48 minutes and 31 seconds, Ukrainian Mesopotamian, you can smash the like button, especially since I'm paying your salary. Let's be honest. When the feds come here, when the feds come fucking my show, everybody likes that. I don't know why. I'm not sure why it's more entertaining to them than it is to me, because most of you guys are annoying and you're not very good opposition. You are pawns. Like, you know what I mean? If this was a chess game, it's not a chess game, but if it was a chess game, I'm tired of like taking pawns off the fucking board, you know, like fucking Kurt Doolittle and all these other fucking twats, the different fucking feds and honeypot retards that I fucking knocked off the fucking perch, knocked off the fucking internet in the last few years. It's not as great an accomplishment as I would like to think it is. It isn't really that great of an accomplishment, other than I've annoyed a couple of feds. I would like a greater accomplishment, which is why I have turned to voting every day. I vote every fucking day against the Federal Reserve note and the governmental structure, which forces us to use that and keeps the parasites on top. And I really fucking envision a world where what the Constitution is, because I don't think this one's going to survive that much longer. But a nation state with a rule set that everyone agrees on, and there can be no changes unless everyone agrees on the change. That will be as close to fucking utopia as you could possibly get. We aren't there yet, and that's certainly not going to happen in my lifetime. But I can help lay the foundation stones. Like the Yamnaya got on their horses and their fucking, because they invented the wheel and they had chariots and they came out of the frozen tundra down to the fucking over the mountains in Iran, and they came into fucking Babylon and they said, look, let's move giant stones into a pyramid. Whatever the fuck you think, whatever fucking retarded shit you think fucking happened. I'm laying the foundation stones. Me and others, we're laying the foundation. And a big part of that is destroying the federal, peacefully and legally destroying the Federal Reserve. Actually, there is evidence. There's no fucking evidence. And it's becoming more accepted. No, it's propaganda, and a bunch of dopey potheads pretend to believe it. Amazingly, the first hint of evidence was from a drone's POV. Oh, from deep state? No shit. Sunflowers were growing weeks earlier on the top of building ruins. Sunflowers. Your evidence is sunflowers. That is, I think, not nearly as strong, sir. Some drunk Russian dude spit out some fucking sunflower seeds the winter before, and they sprouted early. And from that tiny little seed, you grew a big bullshit story. A big bullshit story, which really nobody even pretends to fucking believe. You're like these fucking. It's like Afrocentrism, but it's not even as funny. Like at least the Afrocentrists, we get fucking ruthlessly mocked. Blah, 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 blah. My tongue's getting thick. All those dopey fucking Bulgarians and fucking Albanians. You're like like Albanians. I don't know if you ever met Albanians. Albanians are some of the dumbest fucking people on God's green earth. They really think they invented everything. They will tell you, if you go far back enough in history, Albanians built the pyramids. They'll really fucking say shit like that. It's like the Albanians are beyond fucking delusional. They didn't even have a fucking alphabet till like 1872. They couldn't read or write until like the late 1800s. But in their minds, they built literally everything. So that's that. What is this other video? I don't know what this other video is. I'm just going to randomly click on it now because I'm getting spun up by the Fed.
Can someone explain how these restaurants are still operating? This is a lunchtime on a Thursday, and every restaurant or shop is pretty much empty. Yet the rent here will be at least £20,000 to £25,000 for a size of this per month. Some don't even bother opening at lunchtime or have closed down permanently, which is sad to see. And yes, working from home is partly to blame, but also extortionate rent prices that have not taken into consideration the footfall. This is the new F1 arcade in London, empty. That's such a big venue. So how are they sustaining this? And if they are, how long can they sustain this for? Because it doesn't look like the footfall will be increasing anytime soon. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And as always, follow for more London.
London looks pretty clean, at least central London. I wasn't near that mall or whatever, but the problems you see and I've seen some stuff like that in different towns in New Jersey that I occasionally pass through, some of which are more upscale than others. And when the downturn first started, like pre-COVID, the nicer towns, all their shops were full, and their little downtown area looked great. And the more the more down market ones had more closed stores because they had thinner margins and people couldn't stay in business. But it's hitting everybody everywhere. And what do you do? And this is the same with the commercial real estate in the United States. This building was sold in 2003 for $190 million. And then it was just sold last year for $3 million. And the collapse of commercial real estate is the collapse of the banks, because the big banks hold the mortgages on these things. And the government is allowing the big banks not to declare that they've lost money. They're not doing whatever they call it, the fuck do they call it? Mark to market or whatever. It means you're allowed to hide your losses. So they're hiding their losses and making things look a lot better than they really are. And when nobody's going back to work, who's going back to work for what? For what? You know what I mean? You force people out of their jobs, and now you're going to force them back. These are fucked up, shitty elites who just order people around, not ever having faced the consequences of their decisions. But they will face the consequences of their decisions financially very, very soon. That's what's likely to happen. That's why Bank of New York Mellon is saying, hey, we want to be able to legally custody Bitcoin. Yes, we're the oldest bank in the United States. We were founded in 1784, and we have a copy of George Washington's wig in the fucking safe or whatever the fuck. We got his wooden teeth and his fucking shoes. We're the oldest bank in the United States, and yet we want to get on this Bitcoin thing. And again, I want to point out, I want to focus your mind on the fact that the oldest bank in the United States has not sought and received special dispensation from the Securities and Exchange Commission to custody Bitcoin. They're not doing it for just because it's a fucking shiny object that they want to play with. Okay, they're doing it because they consider it necessary for their future success. They don't want to go out of business. And I guess the fees they would make from managing this and custodying this type of digital property, this type of new 21st century property, is they've estimated. And listen, they're not doing this on a whim. They've studied this for a long time. They're doing this because this is how their bank survives the next 50 years, the next 100 years. And you need to pay attention to that. All these people like the dopey Fed talking about whatever's, a sunflower seed proves that something happened that there's no evidence that ever happened, and here's a fairy tale about that just happens to be exactly like fucking Richard Wagner's fucking operas, where in prehistory the pre-Aryan nations built everything, and they were the Egyptians and they were the Babylonians, except they moved it from Germany to fucking Ukraine or something. It's the same shitty fucking delusion, because the people on top imagine that they have all sorts of abilities that they don't really have. They want to give themselves every credit, and of course push off the blame for everything onto someone else. That's just the way they are. But here is we will pray to Saint Michael. He's not really a saint. Michael Saylor, this time making some good sense, making some very good sense, making the point that I try to get across to a lot of people on how you should spend. If you're going to study something, before you study the Yamnaya history or the science of fucking sunflower seeds in Russian burial mounds, maybe you should study this.
I think that you will spend 40,000 hours of your life, maybe 60,000 hours of your life trying to make money. It is worthwhile to spend 100 hours of your life figuring out how to keep it.
So figure out how to keep your money, right? There was a dude, one of the feds a while back, I think was on this channel or another channel, on my Rumble channel. I was on this channel where one of the feds was here. Was like, well, I'm glad the average Joe is getting in on crypto. Crypto is a scam because Bitcoin is the only real thing. Everything else is a fucking scam. And the guy's like, glad you regular Joes are making some money in crypto. Cash out while you still can. Cashing out is not what we do. That's not what I do. Okay. I'm not taking real money and putting it into this Bitcoin thing to get real money back out, because I have been forced, and my parents and fucking back to my grandparents back to 1913, I have been forced to use something that is not real money, because real money is a store of value. The value you create from your work is stored, kept safe inside money, or it's supposed to be. And why should money ever lose value? So if the currency you're using, the green pieces of paper you're trading back and forth, or right now, mostly the electronic credits in computer databases and banking databases, if the credits you're trading back and forth for goods and services do not hold their value, if they keep going down in value, then it's not money, right? One of the functions of money is to be a store of value. It is valuable today. It will be valuable tomorrow. It will hold its value years into the future. But if it does not, because of inflation, it's 2%, it's 3.1%, it's 4% this, well, it was only 1%, 9%. Because they tell you to your face that they are stealing, 2% by their numbers from you every fucking year. What you use, what you base your life on, is not real money, because it loses value over time, whereas Bitcoin gains value over time. That's an enormous difference. So I'm selling weak dollars and buying strong Bitcoin for fucking ever, just like St. Michael, the billionaire bro. The strategy that works for him also works for me. So understand, I will never cash out. I'm not cashing out. Okay, that's just not what's going to happen. Ukrainians, I'm surprised they were still around. You can tell he's been run ragged. I have no idea what you're talking about. Did he do a lot of coke in the 80s? Probably. He also did a lot of supermodels too. And this is how we win. At the end of the day, this is how we win. So this is just this is an idea that they're starting to float. We are years away from this. We are some years away from this. But this starts from what? September 26th, just a couple of days ago. Crypto for advisors, the growth of Bitcoin as collateral, as traditional investment products face declining yields, as there's no other way to make money. Savvy asset managers, dudes who don't want to lose their job to AI, must consider emerging opportunities within the cryptocurrency space to meet growing client demand. Yeah, you're going to have to learn about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is digital property, like real estate is property on this earth, and you can mortgage your property. Like St. Michael says, if your family owns a building on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, you don't worry about, can I spend part of the building to buy a cup of coffee? You don't worry about that, okay? You don't think, oh, I need to chip off part of the brick in the corner of the fucking building to go buy dinner. That's not how it works. You have an asset, the building on Fifth Avenue, that you can borrow money against and do all kinds of shit, right? And that was the previous economic model. The 21st century model is going to be this. You have Bitcoin, it has X value, and a bank, there'll be a way that you halfway hold it and they halfway hold it, so you can't cheat them and they can't cheat you. There will be a way that a bank will say, oh, you have a quarter of a Bitcoin. Let's say, for example, in this cycle, Bitcoin goes to $500,000, just as an example, in the next 2 years. You have 1/4 of a Bitcoin. So you have $125,000 worth of Bitcoin. You could, in theory, take that to a bank and say, here's how much property I have. It's worth $125,000. How much will you loan me? And they'll say, oh, we'll loan you half. So you can take 65 grand in cash and do something. I don't know what. You can, I don't know, buy a fucking laundromat, or to put yourself through welding school, or fucking, I don't know, go partners with somebody in something. And as long as you pay that loan back, right, you get to keep your Bitcoin. And as you're paying the loan back, your Bitcoin grows in value over the years as you pay the loan back. And then guess what? The bank is going to be more than happy to make you another fucking loan, even bigger than the last one, A, because you have more collateral, or rather your collateral is worth more. And B, you have a history of paying back loans. That's how people like us win. That is how we're going to win. Because nothing grows out of nothing. Like your sunflower seed grows out of the fucking burial mound with the fucking horses with the fucking all the gold around their fucking necks, and the Amazon warrior chicks with bows and arrows that are in southern Russia. Just like that sunflower grows out of something that already existed, Bitcoin is going to have to grow out of the existing system. It's going to have to consume it. And we will. And we are. And we are. Bitcoin is not moral. Absence of morality is not amoral, but immoral. Yeah, now you're just absence of, what are you even fucking talking about? Ukrainians, stop, just stop. Who, is there like a script you follow? Do you like click on buttons like he said this? Are you using Chat GPT to argue with me? Bitcoin, technology notwithstanding, lacks a sovereign and as such has no morality. What sovereign nation is moral? Okay, is America moral for supporting the genocide in Gaza? Was America moral for fucking bombing the Japanese in Hiroshima? What did America do that was moral? When we killed all the Indians and took over the continent, was that moral? When the Federal Reserve defeated the amendment to fucking make going to war a popular vote and sent American soldiers overseas in 1917, the first aggressive overseas war that we had nothing to do with, was that moral? Killing 50,000 Americans, was that moral? Where's the morality there? Listen, you're a dumb fucking fed, Ukrainian. You couldn't fucking argue your way out of a wet fucking paper bag. You understand? And you are up against somebody who, I swear to fucking God, I wish we were in the subway right now, because I'd push you in front of the fucking train if it was legal to do so. It's not legal to do so. You could never win against me face to face. You sure as fuck can't win against me in the chat, you dumb fuck. Your fucking arrogance, you arrogant little fucking cunts, think like what you can fucking do. You think because, I don't know, somebody gave you were born on third base in the bureaucratic world, and now you fucking hit a home run by landing some cushy job and fucking in the Pentagon or wherever the fuck you are. And you're a fucking bug man. You're a pathetic fucking bug man. You wouldn't, if I fucking walked in the room where you were, your fucking eyes would be down on the fucking, you'd be staring at the fucking floor. You are truly a parasite, and neither creative nor smart one, but that's the nature of parasites. Anyway, with that, where are we at? We're at 1 hour and 8 minutes. 1 hour and 8 minutes. Another Sunday night chill stream. This one, alcohol fueled. I've been doing so many sobriety fucking streams lately. I forgot what the sort of thing was like. I used to do this. I used to do this a lot more alcohol. I guess that's why this feels like it's hitting me harder, because I haven't had any alcohol in a while. Anyway, with that, did I cover everything? I think I covered everything. Almost everything. Yeah, I don't think I have any more. Do I have any more shit? What do I have? Yeah, that's it. Let's just call that it. So to Virgil Doc Purple Heart, to Eagle Pax Max, to everyone lurking in the background, and everyone that will watch in the coming week. Thank you guys for stopping by. We got more comments. It's a Ukrainian guy. America is without doubt a global moral superpower. Oh my God, you're really starting to annoy me. You sound like fucking Ziggy the Polak. And Ziggy the Polak is annoying me these days. Although I heard he had a heart attack. Fingers crossed, everything works out for him. Even Ziggy the Polak, I do not wish ill will towards. So, Virgil Doc, Eagle Pax, and everybody watching and who will watch in the future, thanks for stopping by, and I'll talk to you guys again next week.